It was the glitziest of scams.
The 30,000 diamonds definitely did not exist.
A world of luxury where nothing was quite what it seemed.
They're just lying to everyone, including themselves, like that it's going to be okay.
Investors have been cheated out of more than £100 million.
This could be the Usual Suspects movie, but at the time I never saw that coming.
Now, both the cash and the con man have gone.
He was almost like the Pied Piper of, jewellery retail.
So why aren't the authorities looking for Vashi Dominguez?
This is bigger than Hatton Garden, Brinksmat and the Great Train Robbery combined.
It was hidden behind sparkle and bling, but it became Britain's biggest diamond scam. Investors were cheated. £170 million has gone.
It happened in one of the most glamorous parts of London. Experienced investors were tricked into handing over fortunes.
And this man was at its heart, charismatic jeweller Vashi Dominguez.
So this is two necklaces in one. The big one is 50 carats and then the smaller one is 30 carats. So it's 80 carats in total.
Wow!
There we go.
Oh.
In 2017, Vashi became a high street brand. There were stores in London, Birmingham and Manchester.
What we're doing is trying to bring a lot of emotion into what is one of the most emotional purchases you will ever make.
Vashi was all about glamour, and money seemed to be no object.
Vashi was very keen to say that we're, doing something that no other business is going to do. We will be a huge global player. Everything was going to be big, bold, aim for the stars.
It just looked so great and so promising. What we were being told, it just seemed like really exciting and like a great time to have been brought on board.
The marketing for Vashi was insane. They were everywhere. They were all over Instagram.
Vashi's selling point was customers could work with designers to come up with their own bespoke jewellery, then watch it being made on site. They were promised high-end diamonds at a cheaper price.
You'd sit down with jewellery designers and they could literally design anything you wanted, have it completely bespoke made, whatever you wanted you could get.
No. Yes.
Vashi's charm attracted wealthy and experienced investors.
Vashi was quite a magnetic individual. He had gravitas, he had intelligence, he spoke in a very informed way about every detail of his business, and he was in command of all the numbers, and he sounded very confident.
Vashi had impressive pitches. He told investors their money was safe because it was secured against a huge stock of diamonds. And the accounts showed the business was booming.
I'm going to move into disruptive innovation. These are principles that I was very fortunate to learn over time.
Well, he seemed to know his space very, very thoroughly. I mean, quality of the gems, the whole idea of bespoke, and people can walk in and literally design their own jewelry. I thought that was a cool idea.
He had investors who were the cream of British entrepreneurs who put many millions of pounds into the business.
Investors like Clive Schley, the former CEO of the sandwich chain Pret a Manger, and John Cordwell, the mobile phone billionaire, put their trust in Vashi.
It sounded good, seemed good. Some smart guys from around here were in the deal. And so I just kind of went along with it on that basis.
I perhaps didn't do the due diligence that I would normally do, but because of that, because these other people who were putting in much larger amounts of money than I was, had already committed to invest, then it seemed good.
It looked like a business on the up. In 2021, Vashi Dominguez opened a flagship store in Covent Garden in central London. It was designed to impress.
We're trying to create a space that is engaging, that is inspirational, very immersive and transparent.
At the time, it was like, oh, wow, obviously Covent Garden is such a iconic place in London.
His new store that was opening at the time that I was investing was in Covent Garden, opposite the Apple store. Because he did spend the money on the fit out, it's a conjurer's trick. It's look over here, and actually I'm going to take your money out of your pocket whilst you're looking at this. If you want to create a fraudulent luxury brand, you don't do it on the cheap.
Up to you how much you give. I think £20 would be amazing if you can't afford that.
We don't know when it started being a scam, but by the time Vashi opened his Covent Garden store, investors were already being cheated.
Vashi looked like a successful business, but that wasn't the real story.
On the shop floor, staff suspected something wasn't right. There didn't seem to be enough sales.
The glitz and the glam was better than the behind the scenes. This brand spanking new Covent Garden, after the shininess is worn off, we get like 2, 3, 4 people in a day. And that was the reality in one of the busiest squares in London.
But that's not what the investors saw when they came to visit. To impress them, staff were told to pretend to be customers to make the stores look busy.
It would be like, oh, we've got so-and-so coming in, they're worth X amount. And we all had to go pretend to be customers in the stores themselves.
This email told staff about a rota, the days and times you can be in the Covent Garden store shopping as a regular customer. It says this request is direct from Vashi, as he is in major investor conversations and expects surprise store visits.
They're just lying to everyone, including themselves, like that it's going to be okay.
How does that make you feel to learn that there was this bit of theatre going on in the stores?
Well, it just makes me more angry about what's happened, but, yeah, I mean, of course, if he's doing that, that's fraudulent.
It gets worse. Staff were also told to pretend to make the bespoke jewellery.
We had sales team that had no experience sat down at these benches pretending to be working. It was a whole elaborate show that Vashi would, do with the clients to kind of show that they've got so many orders and this is how busy we are. This is why you should really be investing into Vashi. Total facade.
From what we found, using evidence from emails, is that there was a culture whereby Vashi very much was the dominant figure within this business. He's definitely the puppet master at the centre of it all.
Customers were also being conned. Diamonds for sale usually carry inscriptions called a GIA number that records their size and quality. But former staff say some customers weren't getting what they paid for.
We started to try and find the GIA stamp on diamonds, and we would find it and then check it on the website, and it would not be to the specifications that are on the packet. So if a diamond was, let's say, it said it was 2 carats, we would check the GIA number and it would say it's 1 carat, for instance.
Any jeweller is going to look at the GIA number on that ring. and know that the stone that's in the mount does not match the stone that the customer paid for. Vashi's response to that was to scratch the number off and get rid of the certification number. If I was a Vashi customer, I would feel worried that I didn't get exactly what I paid for.
The whole business was made to look successful for investors. And when they checked the finances, it all seemed to add up.
Presentation materials were incredibly well designed.
The numbers he's showing us were great.
So it looked healthy?
Oh, yeah. Especially for something like this, the margins look really, really healthy. And he said, these are actuals. Here's what we're doing with operating income, and here's how much revenue we get. And they looked very, very good.
The justification rationally was that the numbers added up, that other people had looked to them, that they'd been audited.
From a figures point of view, just the numbers, the sales, I just remember thinking there's just not enough turnover. They can't be turning a profit.
The company wasn't turning a profit, and the audited accounts were untrue.
Investors were being cheated. The figures were false. The real sales figures were far lower than what was shown in the published accounts.
Those falsified accounts were sent to investors and company's house. They showed sales of £105 million in 2021. We've seen internal documents that show the real sales figure that year was just £5 million.
What do you think of those numbers now?
Well, they're BS, they're clearly wrong, terribly wrong.
To completely misrepresent the accounts by this scale is just completely unacceptable.
The business wasn't booming. It was a facade to keep investor cash coming in.
We would try to get diamonds from the suppliers, and the suppliers would constantly tell us, no, we're on blocker because we haven't paid the invoices. So that was like my only inkling into the money wasn't coming in as much as they were saying it was.
He owed money everywhere, to suppliers, to landlords, to investors. It was just a complete mess of a business towards the end.
I remember getting a text saying, you're not going to get paid. And I made a flippant comment saying, oh, isn't it great? The company that's known for not paying its bills now won't pay its employees. And I got reprimanded for that, for being unprofessional.
I couldn't fathom it at the time, that we had the successful business that Vashi was telling all these investors, but then suddenly we couldn't pay the staff.
The lack of funds didn't seem to affect Vashi Dominguez. He was still living it up.
The company paid the rents on a number of flats for Vashi's personal use in some of London's most exclusive areas.
The company also paid for luxury cars, including a Lamborghini like this one.
So we can see that there is spend going on rental properties in West End of London, expensive rental properties, and also supercars. Clearly, in a business that is losing money and misrepresenting information to investors, that is not appropriate.
Vashi was still tempting new investors. He needed cash to pay those who were due to get their money back. It looks like a Ponzi scheme, using money from new investors to pay off the old ones.
There's investor money being used to pay back previous loans from other investors. That's part of how it works. That's how you get more people investing and how you keep it all going. It seems to be high net worth investors, which is also why I think it was one of the most sophisticated, if not the most sophisticated, Ponzi type case we've ever seen.
Former staff say by the end, some investors were desperate to get their cash out.
We started to have investors turn up asking where Vashi was, that would wait in store, and we were told that we can't give Vashi's number out or email address to any of these investors or kind of let them know where he was.
It couldn't last, and it didn't. In April 2023, the company went bust with debts of £170 million.
And when did you find out that things were starting to seriously unravel?
When they unraveled.
How did that feel?
Terrible. Holy cow, how could that be? You know, this all seemed to be going reasonably well. I certainly didn't expect that.
I was as dumbfounded as most other people when it was announced that the company had gone into administration.
Even when Vashi went bust, investors thought their money would be safe. Remember, they'd been told there was a huge stock of diamonds. The final valuation, sent just 5 weeks before the company went bust, showed the diamonds were worth £157 million.
If the business itself fails, then the value of the gem stock can be realised and we'd at least get our money back.
And those books, that published information, that mattered to you, did it? You could see it there,
I mean,
black and white.
it's quite rare for a relatively young new business to have that level of liquid assets in the form of gems.
For you, being told that there's tens of millions of pounds worth of diamonds in the safe, is that a big thing?
Well, sure. Showing that you had that kind of an inventory was a big thing.
Could you get your money back if it went wrong?
Yes.
But the investors had been tricked again.
I was put in touch with the administrator to have a look at and assess some of the jewellery and diamond stock that they had retrieved. We were presented with this stock and said, look, why don't you go and have a look at it and just give us some estimations as to what you think it's worth.
There was hardly anything in the safe. The diamonds, said to be worth £157 million, were nowhere to be seen.
How much were they worth?
Approximately £100,000. Our first question was actually to ask if there was any more.
Staff we've spoken to say they never saw anything like the treasure trove the company claimed.
You know, the website said they had 30,000 diamonds in stock. The 30,000 diamonds definitely did not exist.
It's strong evidence Vashi Dominguez has defrauded his investors.
You need to look at whether representation that was made that could be considered dishonest. I mean, telling investors that there was £157 million of diamonds that didn't exist is pretty dishonest. Did he expose investors to a risk of loss? I think he exposed them to an inevitable loss.
I think we had about £750,000 in it.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you get any money back?
Of course not.
The inflated diamond valuations were signed off by Inga & Company accountants. They also audited and accepted the inflated sales figures.
The fact those accounts were audited does not reflect well on the accountants that signed off those accounts.
The accountant responsible works here in Ilford. Rajnikant Patel has been severely reprimanded and made to pay £3,500 by his professional body. He didn't respond to our letters and calls.
This is the place.
So I went to see him.
Hey, Mr. Patel, my name is...
That's me, yes. Take a seat.
My name is Richard Bilton. I'm a reporter from Panorama. So, you were the accountant for Vashi. Tens of millions of pounds have been lost. Where did it go?
I really don't know, and I don't think I can discuss all this with you. Probably, as probably what's going to happen is that one day Vashi will turn up.
Where is it? Where is Vashi?
I have no idea. But one day he will turn up, and there will probably be a case against him. And anything I say may prejudice that.
With the investors, they trusted you and your name and your accounts.
I don't think they would have based their investment decisions purely on our accounts. A lot of the investors were very high net worth individuals, and they would have had their own financial advisors.
If you say the company's making 100 million in sales and it's got 157 million pounds in diamonds, and if it's not true, that's not good, is it?
No, obviously it's not good. The shareholders, the investors have lost their money, but as I said, I certainly am very sorry that that has happened, but nothing to do with us.
But the accounts is a big one because you signed off on 100 million of sales. The sales were much more like 5 million. What did you do to check that it was 100 and it wasn't 5?
No, we didn't think they were wrong. That if we knew that it was wrong, we wouldn't have signed them off.
So, Mr. Patel is sorry, but he says he didn't know the figures were wrong. Vashi, the charismatic face of the brand, the man who encouraged investors to give him millions, vanished when the company went bust. We haven't been able to contact him about the allegations in this programme.
There's been a lot of rumours, It's been a lot of rumours.
As far as we've all heard, he was on a plane to Dubai and nobody's heard from him since.
What we know, from bank statements, is that Vashi flew to Dubai on the day of the liquidation hearing. We have hired private investigators and there have been sightings of him, but we have not been given any hard evidence of sort of residence or location in a certain place.
Investors have lost more than £100 million. Vashi also cheated staff and the taxman. In total, £170 million has gone. But it's a surprisingly small search party.
So the police, they're not looking at it?
No.
What about the Serious Fraud Office?
No.
HMRC?
Not that I'm aware of. Unfortunately, we see this time and again, the law enforcement just don't have the resources. They need more resources to investigate something like this.
When investors went to the Serious Fraud Office, they were told to go to the police. When they went to the Metropolitan Police, they were told to go to the Serious Fraud Office.
Why I'm so angry that no crime agency in this country is doing anything is twofold. One is letting them get away with it. And secondly, why would any other investor want to invest in a British company if something as basic as that isn't dealt with?
I don't really understand. I mean, what are you actually doing? This is a pretty big thing, I think, that, all of these people in your country could be ripped off in such an obvious way, and you don't bother trying to figure out how to get hold of the person or to deal with the fraud.
The Metropolitan Police told us they had not received any referrals from the liquidator or the insolvency service and would reassess if they did. The liquidator says he's not allowed to tell us whether he referred the case to the police or SFO. The SFO says it only takes on a small number of high-level economic crime cases each year. And HMRC says it cannot comment on identifiable taxpayers or businesses. Some investors believe Vashi Dominguez has stolen tens of millions of pounds for himself. The liquidator's been through the books. What does he think?
From the bank statements, we can see that Vashi is paid sums of money during sort of the trading period.
Millions gone missing. Did he get a lot of that?
I mean, it doesn't appear that he did. What we haven't seen from the bank statements is significant bulk sums of money or any obvious sums of money that have been put into an offshore account or anything like that.
Many people lost their whole investment when Vashi collapsed. But we've discovered one investor made a significant return. A former treasurer of the Conservative Party, multi-millionaire Lord Michael Spencer.
I, Michael, Lord Spencer of Alresford, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful according to law. So help me God.
Almost 3 years before the company collapsed, it defaulted on a payment that was due to Lord Spencer. he sent someone to value the company's stock of diamonds. They were refused access. Lord Spencer then said he'd tell the press about his investment experiences if Vashi didn't agree to his demands.
Lord Spencer wrote to Vashi and threatened to expose him if he didn't pay up. But Lord Spencer didn't just want his cash back, he wanted a very big payout.
Lord Spencer's lawyer says his stake in Vashi cost £10.1 million. Our evidence shows he demanded £16 million back. In the end, he got £11.7 million before the company went bust. That's a £1.6 million return for Lord Spencer. But the liquidator says the share purchase should not have gone ahead.
From your point of view, does it make commercial sense? Is it acceptable?
That is funds that should not have left the company at a time where it was arguably insolvent.
Other investors believe he had a moral obligation to raise the alarm. Michael Mazinski put his money into Vashi after Lord Spencer had sold his stake in the company.
Well, I invested a sum in the tens of thousands of pounds, and my return on that was zero.
You've lost it all?
Yes. I'm furious that other investors like myself were basically putting money in with no chance of it ever coming back.
Lord Spencer's lawyer told us he categorically denied that he knew the company was in trouble and decided to sell his shares because of a lack of transparency. He said the valuation was fair and reasonable as it was based on the price per share used in the company's fundraising a few months earlier. Lord Spencer wasn't under any duty or obligation to other shareholders to inform them of the decision to sell his shares or indeed anything else. And the company continued trading for more than 2 years after he sold his shares. Lord Spencer didn't respond to the allegation he had threatened to go to the press if Vashi didn't pay up. Even now, no one really knows what Vashi Dominguez was up to. Whether his company was a scam from the start or a failing business that became a scam.
So I'm not sure whether the guy panicked because this thing just wasn't working like he'd planned, or whether he planned it all along to be like this. I think he's a manipulating son of a bitch.
The lying feeds into more lying. The more lying feeds into shady behaviour to cover up all of these lies.
Vashi is a very dynamic, he's a very charismatic character, and you can't help but buy into him. He was almost, like the Pied Piper of, jewellery retail.
Vashi used sparkle and glamour to attract tens of millions from investors. It's all gone, and so has he. It looks like Vashi has got away with Britain's biggest diamond scam.